The astonishing aspect of Dolly Safran's lifetime of extraterrestrial encounters is that she remembers all of those events as they occurred in real time, without hypnotic regression and no longer through a lens of fear. Dolly's encounters seem to have started at around the age of 2 years, when she would often go missing and be found in strange places like locked rooms and cupboards with door handles she could not even reach. On one occasion, she was found 2.5 miles from home wearing only her underwear. That time she was scared and crying, but unable to explain to anyone how she had got there. At around the age of 7, she thought she saw Mary Poppins' giant umbrella in the sky, perhaps appearing so as not to scare her, and from that time on began receiving regular nighttime visits from people her mother assumed were her imaginary friends. They were her real friends, as Dolly's fears seemed to dissipate and abilities in telekinesis and prophetic clairvoyance also emerged. Recognising her psychic potential, her father, a high-ranking military official, trained her in martial arts and various scientific fields, including astronomy. It was at around the age of 12, when Dolly was observing stars in the night sky, that a moving object peeled away and hovered over the trees behind her house. The completely silent craft changed colour from white to bright red, then orange, yellow, green and blue. The bright metallic object was about 25 feet in circumference, had a rounded spade shape and 2 port windows and lights, with a large blue light below. As it hovered, wobbling slightly, seemingly staring straight at her, Dolly dived under her bed, her whole room then filling with a blinding white-blue light. When she came to, she found her pyjamas dishevelled and was feeling sick and disoriented. It was 6 a.m, so 4 hours had passed since sighting the strange star-cum-UFO. She wondered how no one else in the family had witnessed the bizarre intrusion, and was then amazed to hear on the breakfast radio news that a police officer had observed a UFO. Dolly became aware that she was being abducted quite regularly, but didn't realise at the time that the alien intervention in her life would become a life-saving force in at least 2 instances. In 1984, at the age of 26, as a college student, she was diagnosed with an illness called diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA. Although then undergoing treatment, that December, while her family was absent to attend a funeral in Chicago, she suddenly started to feel very unwell and was passing out. She crawled into bed, feeling exhausted, and then suddenly saw a being she described as a tall white appear next to her. The ET was looking concerned and encouraged Dolly to seek medical help, even though she felt too tired to even care. As he continued to speak to her, she relented, saying, "Okay, then give me the phone." To her surprise, the being did so, and after her call, she was rushed to the Grady Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, where she arrived in an extreme diabetic coma. The doctors later told her that she had been admitted to hospital just in time to actually save her life. In 2008, Dolly was working as a security specialist at the Army Department of Defense in Fort Benning and married to a former Navy intelligence officer. She was unaware at the time that her husband had a past record of sociopathic behaviour and that he had secretly taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on her. He had then started to covertly poison her by adding small amounts of antifreeze into her food. She was to later learn that he had a long history of violence, including holding his own mother at gunpoint. Dolly started to feel fatigued and unwell for a lot of the time, while her husband became increasingly cold and detached. One night she was driving to work along a remote stretch of Highway 27 when she observed a large group of intensely bright white lights in her rearview mirror. Resembling stadium lights, though there were no buildings nearby, they then rose above the skyline and advanced closer. The massive object was covered with lights, but the giveaway was that it was totally silent. Dolly slowed down, at which the triangular-shaped craft zoomed to directly above her car within seconds. As she slammed on her brakes, it passed her, did a U-turn, and then hovered at around 400 feet overhead. As she stared at the enormous mothership, she received an overwhelming message within her head. Home is not a good place. Home is bad. After delivering the message, the craft rose and sped out of sight within seconds. Dolly was completely bemused by being singled out and delivered the cryptic but ominous warning, pondering at length what it could have meant. At work, she checked with her captain, Columbus Airport, and 2 other nearby Air Force bases, but none knew of any unusual aircraft either visiting or observed. The UFO's message had been for her alone and continued to echo inside her head, slowly becoming more specific and including her husband's name. Her health continued to deteriorate, with repeated episodes of nausea and vomiting, possible food poisoning, and with her finally ending up in hospital with a suspected heart attack from which she miraculously survived. Her kidneys then started to fail, while her husband's behaviour became even stranger. One day, uncharacteristically, leaving for work at 5 a.m. That day she found that their funds had not arrived in their joint bank account, and when she called him, he declared that he was taking control of their money due to her health problems. Finally aware of some kind of sinister plan, she placed all his possessions on the porch and ended their relationship in a long and messy breakup that ended with her moving and taking out a restraining order. Her doctor ordered a battery of medical tests which indicated the antifreeze in her blood, and she required immediate dialysis, with her already existing health problems becoming much worse. Her ex-husband had obviously tried to unalive her, and without the UFO intervention, he probably would have succeeded. In 2016, because of the damage to her kidneys from having been poisoned, Dolly required a kidney transplant. It was fortuitous that one of her friends proved to be an almost perfect match, and following the procedure, their friendship grew closer. One evening they had gone out for dinner but were very late in heading for home, and Dolly became so tired driving that she didn't realise they were lost. A strange-looking craft appeared in the sky ahead of the pair, the only thing visible and hovering there. Her friend asked if it was trying to tell them something, which was when they realised that they were lost. Dolly turned the car around and drove back the way they had come, whereupon the craft followed them for a while and then sped away. She remains convinced that the ETs were concerned about her tiredness and worried about where the pair would end up, her friend then being a witness to the sighting. Dolly wonders if perhaps large numbers of people are being visited and even their welfare closely monitored by ETs, but most of us are not aware of it. Having experienced many encounters, including those on board UFOs, Dolly has learned a lot about the ET's craft and the way the ETs live. She states that their ships are powered largely through magnetics, also sometimes harnessing the free energy of lightning or the sun to recharge. Amazingly, the individual craft are piloted by telepathically linking up with the ship's controls, something that she herself has learnt to do. It wasn't her science background that enabled her to do this, but a learned capacity to be psychically empathic, something the ETs start practicing from the time they are born. It's something that has to be taught and worked on, and that we humans might benefit from in dealing with our future challenges.